Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos, speaking to you from our studios on South Brundage Street in Troy, Alabama. We're going to you live on Facebook across the nation, across the world. You're on Facebook this morning, and of course we appreciate all of our sponsors so much. Have been with us over 20 years now, bringing you information about your community right here on our show. Of course, we've got a lot going on right now with recreation baseball and softball, and a lot of tournaments going on. We're going to try to bring you up to date on how those Troy teams are coming out right now. I know this, I spoke yesterday, 5 teams have already won district tournaments, so 5 teams have already ready to go to the state tournaments in their respective divisions. So we'll be talking about that. And of course, Auburn baseball, another tough one. And of course, the rain came in Omaha just like it came in Troy, Alabama yesterday, as Auburn trailed 4-1 in the 5th inning. And somebody that can give me that final score, I would appreciate it if you could call in this morning. What now? They played it?
The game today at 10.
Okay, and they start in the 5th inning?
Yeah, they're going to start at the 5th inning, 4-1.
All right, 4-1. They'll trail Louisville 4-1 in the 5th inning, and they start today again at 12 or 10? 10 o'clock this morning on, and I think that game will be televised on ESPN. Of course, Auburn coming off a tough luck game on Sunday that put them in the losers bracket, but they're playing pretty good baseball, and hopefully they'll find some ways to come back and make some things happen. Troy University basketball team has signed Tyrek Williams for the 2019-2020 season, as announced by head basketball coach Scott Cross on Tuesday. Williams is another big guy that can shoot it. He's 6'8", weighs 250 pounds, and he comes from a Combine Academy in Matthews, North Carolina. At Combine, Williams averaged right at 18 points a game, 10 rebounds. Boy, that's impressive figures for the Chesterville, Virginia native. Scored at a 55% percentage rate, which is pretty good too. And he also was excellent at blocking shots. So Troy, Coach Cross is bringing in a lot of talent. So, and we're looking forward to it. Of course, our show is brought to you by Pike Tree Service, and with all the trees and the storms coming through here, Pike Tree Service has been very busy. They'll come to your house, so you call them, and they'll come to your house and not only cut down your trees, but make it look like a tree wasn't there before then. And that's what I like about it. They make everything, the surroundings, look good after they have taken that tree down. The call coming in right here today in L.A. Good morning.
Hello.
Today in L.A. Good morning. How you doing?
Morning.
What's going on in the Southland today?
So far I'm great, and it's overcast skies. Will be possible rain shower, but the rest of the day is supposed to be sunny and pretty. So.
But you don't know when it's going to happen, do you?
As well.
You don't actually know when it's going to happen, though. Is that right?
Well, you can look on your phone, and it tells you 30 or 40% chance. So.
I'll tell you this, we got a tremendous rain in Troy yesterday around noon. I was sitting in Rotary Club, and boy, we thought we were going to get washed away. And we've had 2 huge rains, one on Monday that really created havoc, and then yesterday it was pretty much a continuous rain. I don't know the percentages. I would say 2 or 3 inches, though, at least yesterday.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing. I think down here we went almost 3 weeks without rain, so I'm sure the farmers are happy about it.
No question about it. And of course, water just makes things so much nicer. No question about it. It makes our grass
What is
greener.
it this year, time of year? What, tomato season's, I guess, going on right now?
Oh,
Then
yeah.
you got your squash, and I need to get down to Troy or get y'all to bring me some lady peas from the pig. Some of those white peas I love so much. I can't find those anywhere down
Yeah,
there.
well, it'll be hard for me to buy them because I'll probably eat them before I get them to you. You know, I like them too. I like them with onion and tomatoes. Boy, I love. You give me peas, onion, and tomatoes, and I'm happy, man. You can have my steak. You
The
can have
World
my
Series
steak.
is going on in Omaha, and they were rained out. I think after the fifth inning yesterday, Auburn was trailing 4-1 to Louisville. Apparently, Auburn made 3 more errors, so their defense is really playing bad right now. But Mississippi State and Vandy got postponed as well. So I think this morning they're going to finish the Auburn-Louisville game, and then around 1, the big game as far as SEC goes is Vanderbilt against Mississippi State. But all this does is help these teams that are undefeated have their pitchers rest a little bit more and maybe possibly help them later in the College World Series. I know later tonight you'll have Texas Tech playing Florida State as well. So that's what's going on in college baseball. Okay,
no question about it. And I tell you, people they really get attached to college baseball, and I know people were really excited. They were having baseball parties for the Auburn game on Sunday. You know, and you don't ever think of somebody doing something like that for baseball. You can understand it for football. You know.
Yeah, I mean Omaha's a fun town. I know I've been there twice for us going to Troy, Nebraska games, and you've probably been there 3 or 4 times. But a lot of fun things to do in Omaha. And then you go over to the Iowa line over a river, and there's about 8 or 9 casinos right there. So there's a lot to do.
Yeah, no question about it. And you remember that Capitol building is just breathtakingly beautiful. You remember that at night?
Yeah, I remember the steaks are incredible. Of course, Creighton University is located in Omaha, and there's a...
I was looking at the beautiful historic structure, and he's worried about a steak.
14,000.
What is that now?
The arena at Creighton University holds about 14,000.
Oh, yeah. Creighton is big-time basketball, no question about it.
What is Creighton's nickname?
Oh, boy. Well, that's called Danny Lee. Creighton...
they're the Jayhawks.
Oh, okay. They're always pretty good. Troy has added another man to their roster, and how about this, Mike? He's 6'8", weighs 250 pounds. He averaged right at 18 points a game and 10 rebounds a game last year for Chesterville. His hometown is Chesterville, Virginia.
Yeah, I saw he's playing in an academy, so I would imagine that's almost like playing in a prep school. So I would imagine he has 4 years.
And he's Troy's 7th signing. So
I know you talking about rebuilding the whole roster. I mean, he mentioned some guys the other day that were bagged from last year's team, but it was only like 6 or 7 guys. So this is going to be a revamped, pretty much, you know, in some cases, new Troy team. So Coach Cross is definitely making his mark and bringing his guys in, the guys that want to be there and play for him and his assistants. And, you know, luckily some of these guys decide to stay as well. But it'll be interesting to see basketball this season with so many new guys.
No question about
Hard
it.
to pass up 6'8", 250, though.
I know it. You're right.
I can't remember the last time Troy had a guy that big and strong.
Yeah, we needed a big guy like that can push people around, you know.
I mean, Bernardo was probably about 230, maybe 225, but he wasn't this big. Be interested to see what Bernardo's going to do in the NBA. I mean, I don't know if he'll get drafted or not. I think if all that wouldn't have happened last year with the off the court and the on the court, or whatever was going on as far as his suspensions, but he was a guy that a lot of people were thinking was possibly a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah.
Still, no Troy basketball player in the history has ever played in an NBA game. It's pretty hard to believe, isn't it?
That's right. No question about it. And again, I think he's heard it.
Especially with some of the scores and the shooters Troy's had.
He came into the season with great credentials and looked like he was on his way.
28 points a game in conference.
Yeah, and he was
on. I
know, and he was on his way to big things. And I don't know what happened. I don't know any details about anything.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, the coaching staff pretty much lived and died with Bernardo. I mean, mean, if he played, Troy had a chance to beat anybody. If he didn't, they couldn't beat anybody.
And they were quoted as saying with Leonardo and the other big guy from Phoenix City, they had two of the best combination forwards in the country.
Yeah, Hicks was real inconsistent his senior year, though. They really needed him to step up more after Bernardo.
Higgs looked like a world beater, believe it or not, against Duke. I mean, he played his best game.
He shot lights out against Duke.
He probably played his best game of his career against Duke.
And a lot of those shots were turnaround jumpers from about 15 to 18.
Boy, and had them worried. I mean, he was shooting lights out, no question.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those type things where I think that season will always be a question mark of what it could have been. And then, of course, Bernardo, Wesley Person's senior year, that was supposed to be a great team coming off the NCAA tournament. And Bernardo gets hurts his foot for 8 or 9 games, and I think they only won 16 games. So you got to think that team probably would have won 20 games if he would have stayed healthy. But going to be fun to see Coach Cross, and the biggest thing now is just getting these fans to come out and support the games, and student body more than anything to come out and support. I mean, if you can get 1,000 students to each game, you'll have a pretty decent crowd.
Oh yeah, it's still a pretty long walk to the gymnasium.
I just don't think that's a long walk.
I know it. Well, I say that.
You think it's longer just because Sartain was on the main drive, but I mean, my goodness, it's right next to where the old golf course, clubhouse was.
I'll tell you what I wish they would do. Now, this sounds crazy. I wish they would have some golf carts and carry some of these students across campus.
I mean, there's dorms like literally 100 yards away.
Yeah, but they live in dorms way further than that, though. Most of them live in the dorms on the western
side. It's going to make
side
it intriguing. You got to do like dollar hot dogs. You got to do, stuff to get the college students involved. All kinds of different events at halftime, and I mean, there's ways to do it.
Winning had a lot to do with it, and
where else would you have put that, Jim? There's nowhere else to put it.
I know it. Oh, I know it. I know that.
I'm still shocked that they put the rec center where they did there. I mean, I thought for sure that was going to have to be parking forever.
Yeah. Of course, everybody's worried about.
Yeah, big question during football season. I mean, I guess they dealt with it last year as well, but I guess that parking spills over to towards the Adams Center parking lot over there now is where everybody has to park, don't they?
Where for what?
Where they moved all the dirt.
Oh yeah.
The huge parking lot. That kind of is where everybody had to go after they built the rec center.
That's right.
Because that rec center parking right there, man, that was my favorite place to park before a football game. It was just right there.
Oh yeah. No question about it. But
you work for Troy Alumni Affairs, so you don't ever have to worry about a good parking spot. What's the plan on the alumni house? Are y'all still talking about building a new alumni house one day?
That's right. If the right donor is out there, that we can give it a name, and we'll be off and running. And
Brad and Reagan Kane Center. You think we can work that out?
That would be that's a great name, the Reagan Kane Center.
The Brad and Reagan Kane Center sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Of course, Brad's attorney.
One of my biggest fans, Blake Crow's watching this. Maybe this morning, maybe the Blake and Cheryl Crow Center. Can you get much of the work done with chicken nuggets?
I tell you what, they would do well, no question about it. And of course, my prayers and thoughts are with Cheryl, and he's been a little under the weather. But let me tell you, he's fought this like very few people have fought anything, and he is a tough customer. And
he's doing well from all reports, so we just hope he keeps it up.
I tell you, we love him too, and he's sort of my childhood hero. He used to come pick me up on his bicycle and take me for a ride when I was a first grader, and he was a sixth grader. And then I watched him play high school basketball, and he was a great player, smooth as silk, and he could shoot it, man. I saw him get 33 one night, and that was a school record for a long time. And then, of course,
did he shoot outside at all, or was he all?
Well, that's what he did. That's what he did, Mike. He was an outside shooter. He was a great shooter.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he would have been real good with a three-point play because he could shoot a long jump shot. And they call him Rook. That was his nickname, and he was good, no question about it. Then came behind him was Ronald Giddings and Jimmy Rose and William Davis. Yes, William Davis was a heck of a player, Mike. Had a hook shot you wouldn't believe from the corner. And Freddie Howard, and Herbie Hunter was very good. That was the starting lineup. The guards were Ronald Giddings and Freddie Howard. The forwards were Herbie Hunter and Larry Ray. Wait a minute, Herbie Hunter and William Davis, and the center was Jimmy Rose. Fresh off the bench was Larry Ray and Harry Ray, and they came off the bench to give that team. Troy was 24-8 on that team under Coach Leon Hillier, and they went all the way to Tuscaloosa back then. And still for a long time was the goal everybody had was to go to the state tournament in Tuscaloosa, and that Troy team did it. And I was the manager of that team. I was one of the student managers. I was just a 7th grader, and Coach Hillier let me go on the team. Michael still can't understand this, and ladies and gentlemen, you folks that lived in Troy would understand it. You know, back then, the old Troy Junior High School, and for a long time, the high school was located where the new library is located on Elm Street. That's what it was. And on Academy Street was a street over, and when we have these long night games, for some reason I was either timid or something, but instead of waiting around and getting Coach Hillier or Coach Queen or somebody to give me a ride home from the basketball games, a lot of times I walked home. And you remember me telling you where the City Hall is now? I used to take those railroad tracks right in front of City Hall and walk down those railroad tracks until it hooked up with North 3-Night Street, and I just walked over from there and walked on home.
Did you ever have to get off the train tracks because the train was coming?
No, I can't remember that, but I used to walk home down the train tracks with no fear at all. Now, I probably wouldn't do it.
Hobo Johnson. You worried about him getting you?
Well, I probably wouldn't have even been concerned back then, but I would be probably today. I doubt if I would walk down there by myself unless I had my 6 gun with me. But but back then we didn't worry about it. Burton Green used to give me a ride home, but a lot of times I would be having to put up the equipment, so a lot of the guys were gone. And for some reason, I was sort of timid, and a lot of times I wouldn't ask Coach Hillier for a ride home. Sometimes I would, and sometimes...
What's your brother Joel? He didn't have a car? He couldn't come pick you up?
That was, no, he wasn't. I was in 7th grade, and he was in the...
10th grade or 9th grade?
No, well, let's see, he was 3 years older than me, so I reckon he'd been in the 10th grade. But that was not a question. We didn't have that. And
then your mother never drove.
Yeah, well, you don't have to give all that information out, you know.
What's wrong with that? I mean, back then, sometimes people didn't drive.
Well, she didn't drive, and you're right. Some people didn't drive, and she didn't. But that wasn't the case, though. I mean, what I'm saying is, we were big enough boys back then we could walk home, you know. And by way of the railroad tracks there, it was really a shortcut. You come out at around where Ingram Skirt Market is, and then I walked on down to Orion Street and went home. And and Mike, I can't ever remember us locking our doors back then. You know, I don't think we even locked our doors. A lot of times we'd have to go sit out on the porch because we didn't have air conditioning. Hey, you never thought about having to get up out of bed and go sit out on the front porch to get some cool air? Is that right?
I mean, I was, I used to walk to Troy University all the time from my house. So I mean, what's the big deal?
I'm talking about at 12 or 1 o'clock at night coming in off some of these late games. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
I walked home from junior high school a couple times as well.
Just a couple of times. And how far was it? Maybe a block or 2 blocks?
The biggest issue I had as a kid is if we ran out of gas on my 4-wheeler.
Your 4-wheeler, yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, that you ought to have been ashamed of.
I'll say this. I mean, down here, I wish I could go into the golf cart bike business, because you see some of the fanciest golf carts, and then these bicycles now, they have the electric bicycles, and you'll be driving down here, and you're thinking, oh, there's a guy on a bicycle down here. The next thing you know, know, the guy's like right on my bumper. These electronic bicycles down here go 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, and some people probably don't know how to ride them either. You know.
You're a bicycle guy. You probably would have loved an electric bicycle that could go that fast.
Well, probably would. In fact, you know, with these
They
Cushman.
rent them right down there at AJ's. Next time you're down here, maybe you and I should walk down there and get on an electric bike and just ride it up and down the 30A on those paths.
You know, I would probably take one of those little Cushman motor scooters right now. I'd love to have a little Cushman motor scooter.
I mean, that's one thing down here. You know, we're blessed. We're grandfathered in, so we can drive our beach truck, you know, on the beach right next to the water. And of course, you know, load all our stuff and throw it in, and we're off the beach within a minute or two. But everybody else has these golf carts they load up, and they park their golf carts down there now, right at the beach, which is not a bad idea if you're not, you know, staying near the water or close to the beach. You know, having that golf cart's kind of a game changer for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's right. No question about it. And of course, that area is starting to. They started building back the Red Barn.
They hadn't started. I mean, we were talking about that last night. You know, I was at Louis, and I was picking up some food. You know, it's the same food as the Red Bar. So my wife and I love their gumbo, and we love their tuna dip, which is hard for me to believe. I didn't think I'd ever like tuna dip, but theirs is so good. But I was talking to them down there, and I was just like, yeah. I was like, is the Red Bar really going to open in October? And they're like, oh yeah, that's what they said. Blah, this and that. And I was like, I live in Grayton. I said, I walk by it every day. I said, they hadn't started anything. You know, it's just a vacant lot, and you know, all these articles have come out that they're going to be open by the end of October, and there's just no way.
Well, let me just tell you this.
I mean, they're doing it is that they have a building built somewhere else. And
that's what I'm saying. Prefab. Exactly, and could build it up.
I mean, that's not the case. You know, they're going to build the exact same specs.
And it could be a metal building too. Metal buildings go up pretty fast too. You know.
Well, I mean, they got to make it more, you know, hurricane-proof, I would imagine as well. But the people don't realize there's a huge beach house 3 or 4 stories high next to it that got totally, you know, pretty much just, you know, shot out all the windows and got burned a little bit. I mean, they're going to have to probably replace that as well. So that might be one of the issues they're trying to figure out through insurance and stuff like that.
No question about it. Football season is right here on top of us. In fact,
I was looking at Auburn's schedule today, man. They're going to be really lucky to go 8-4. I mean, we ought to pick that schedule today because that's going to be a brutal schedule for Gus Malzahn.
In fact, we'll do that. We'll pick those games. We'll pick the SEC today if you want to, and that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking at the new Athlon 300 pages that Athlon put together.
Phil Steele's supposed to be out this week.
And Phil Steele's going to be out this week, and so forth. And of course, high schools are already practicing. Can you believe that?
I knew they started that rule, or they could start in June. I guess they can't go in helmets and shoulder pads until August, though, can they?
Yeah, well, that's right. But they are out on the field with their coach, and you know, no vacation from here on out. That's a tough thing about it. The families don't. A lot of them don't get to take vacation because the kids have to practice football or band or whatever.
You know, I was looking last night. You know, you were telling everybody to go to Atlanta and watch a Braves game, and the Braves have been like the hottest team in baseball, but they were trailing the Mets last night. So imagine you made this trip to Atlanta. You're all excited. You know, the first place team in the East, and they're scoring all these runs, and the Braves are getting beat 10-0 going into the 9th inning last night by the Mets, and their great pitcher Jacob deGrom. But if you would have stayed until the 9th, Freddie Freeman hit a home run, and then Josh Donaldson, the kid from Faith Academy that played at Auburn, hit a home run. So the Braves got beat 10-2. But knowing you and me, we've been long gone before that.
Yeah, but now didn't rain hold it up too?
I don't think they had rain issues.
Something I wanted to say. I read this
rain
one.
issues because they never would have had Negron pitch into the 9th inning if that was the case.
But of course they play tonight again at 6:15. So you know this would be a great game.
Ballpark and all the stuff out there. The Battery is what it's called.
You know, I think I ought to just get in the car and go to that game. You know that would be
one
bad.
day when you can go like a businessman special, where you can go over there and maybe get back at a decent time.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. And of course, Major League Baseball is right here on top of us. And back in the old days, I would have done anything to be able to go to a Major League Baseball game. That would have been something. No question about it. Of course, we're talking sports. We're talking about whatever you want to talk about today. And, of course, again, a lot of baseball tournaments. Mike, you know, they're playing all these tournaments. And back when I was growing up, we didn't even start our leagues until June. But now they're already about to finish, you know.
Well, you know, schools start, you know, we used to start in September, and all the schools now start around August the 10th.
Yeah, no question about it. Of course, Mike Amos calling from the beautiful shores of Graydon Beach. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back.
Tori Dunn from Dixie Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure do.
Millie Johnson. I know you're not bringing them cow trucks over here.
I do, and they're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
Getting my car detailed.
At Trojan Detail, we do it all.
I love my job. We get to help people who are having the worst day of their life.
You just got to be ready for whatever hits.
She wasn't breathing. She was almost dead.
Stay still there. Stay still. It's fine.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance. Whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies, Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
Interview.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by our good friends at the Matthews Law Firm, located in Ozark, Alabama. And appreciate Will Matthews and all the great folks. We're expecting Max Howell to call. He might be calling tomorrow. I think he told me he might be calling tomorrow. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over every SEC schedule and tell you, or at least I'm going to tell you, who's going to win and lose in those games. And I was looking at the SEC, and after we get through this, we're going to give you what?
We can at least do the West today. I don't know if we can do all the SEC.
Yeah. But also, they've got the bowl predictions. They've got Alabama to play Michigan in the Peach Bowl. And
is that where the national championship game is?
It must be. I can't believe that it got the top billing.
Well, that'd be hard to believe that Atlanta would host the national championship game again, just 2 years from the last one.
Yeah, I know it.
That's where Alabama played Georgia for the national championship.
Yeah. This is where they looked at it. They had Georgia playing Clemson, so that must have been for the national championship in the Fiesta Bowl. And they had Sugar Bowl had LSU and Oklahoma playing. Orange Bowl had Florida and Syracuse. Citrus Bowl had Texas A&M and Nebraska. That's bringing Nebraska back pretty quick. Outback Bowl, Auburn and Penn State. Texas Bowl had Mississippi State and Oklahoma State. The Tax Slayers Bowl, South Carolina and Wisconsin. The Belk Bowl, Tennessee and Virginia Tech. And the Music City Bowl, Kentucky and Miami. Those are just predictions that this group of forecasters brought out. All right, let's get.
Troy needs to definitely be happy they didn't play Martinez, the great quarterback that was a freshman in Nebraska last year. Thank goodness he was hurt, and Troy played their backup quarterback who acted was a walk-on from the state of Tennessee. I mean, he didn't play bad against Troy, but that definitely helped that they didn't have to go against Martinez. Martinez.
Well, do you think Martinez is a great quarterback?
Well, I mean, he proved it, once he got healthy. They made some, pretty good, games against Ohio State. They took Ohio State down to the ropes, and I think they ended up winning 4 games after Troy. They started the season 0-5 or 0-6.
Yeah.
And finished 4-8. So, he's pretty good if you watched him.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with the Florida Gators, and we're going to give you our predictions for the season. They open up on the 24th of August against Miami, so that's a big game to open up with. When you're saying they're playing on the 24th, that's the first college football game of the year, Mike. It's got to be.
Yeah, that got moved up. This is an interesting game because it's...
And another thing, that means they get to report early, so they actually get to practice more times than the rest of the bunch.
It's 2 coaches that are familiar with each other because Dan Mullen, when he was at Mississippi State, had Mario Diaz as his defense coordinator. So...
now Diaz is the head coach at Miami, is that right?
Yeah, he's the head coach. It's a weird situation. Mark Rick actually decided to retire, and Diaz had already taken the Temple job and had already done his press conference and everything, and then the next thing he knows, he's a candidate for the Miami job and ends up never moving his family, stays in Miami and becomes head coach of Miami, which of course is a better job than Temple. So pretty amazing. And of course Diaz for years was the defense coordinator at Middle Tennessee State when Troy used to destroy him all the time.
That's right, sure did. He's been around.
Kind of a crazy situation, but I'll go with Mullen to beat Miami.
How would you like to be their football announcer? At quarterback Felipe Franks, a junior, and at running back Lamical Pirine is the senior running back. They open the season versus Miami, and we've got a call coming in right now. This could be Max Howell. Let's double check it. I'm gonna put you on hold, Mike. Good morning. You're on Today in LA. How you doing?
Mike, it's Max. How you this morning?
Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Right.
Okay. Of course, we were looking at some SEC games of August. That's a week ahead of everybody else.
That's right. Dan Mullen wants to grab that headline. Dan Mullen will create a buzz now. And you've heard me say before, if he had Georgia's talent right now, it wouldn't be any doubt he'd make a run for a national championship.
Exactly right. Now, we're going to go through this one more time, Max. I'm going to put you on hold and bring Mike in. All right, we'll do. All right, now we got both guys on hold, and we go conference, and conference. Well, that's me again, isn't it? Conference. All right, there we go. All right, got one. Is that right?
You got me.
All right, here we go. We're going to get this in a second. Okay, right here. You on, Mike?
Yeah.
All right, Max, you on? All right, let me bring him on. Here we go. That should do it. All right, well, it's supposed to work this time. Okay, Max Howell is with us this morning, and Mike, are you on?
I'm on.
Something is not working, as usual. As usual. There we go. All right, we got you, and we got Max on hold, and we're going to bring Max on right here. We'll put you on hold, bring Max on hold right here. And same scenario, so let's see here. We got... Well, Max, sorry about that. You're on now, is that right?
I'm here.
All right. How's everything going in Fulton, Mississippi today?
Man, it's rock and rolling now. Summer's speeding over, Mike. First day of summer's coming up this weekend, and it'll be over before we know it. And you said that's the 24th of August is right around the corner. And Dan Mullen and Diaz. And what's funny is, remember, Manny Diaz, the head coach at Miami now, was the defensive coordinator for Mullen at Mississippi State.
That's right.
So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I think Florida wins that ball game because of the talent level, but I think it's going to be interesting, and I think that's all by design, so Dan can capture the national attention right off the bat, and I think he'll get 10 or 11 wins this year.
All right, here we go. We're going to tell you this. We're going to put you on hold here a second. All right, man, I tell you, I'm gonna get me a new one. But it's evidently it's me that's doing this, so that's awfully early, and it's a big advantage, Max, to have a week more earlier to prepare. Isn't that right? We got Max Howell here. Is that right?
I'm here. Yes, I am.
Max, another thing that is so that has a lot of impact, as far as I'm concerned, is they get an extra week to prepare, don't they?
Oh yeah, the rule. I think the NCAA rule says you can show up on campus for start practice 28 days before your first ball game.
Yeah.
So that means they can come in the last week of July. See.
Exactly.
And start, but you got to remember, Mike, this kid's been in school all summer. I mean, it's not like it used to be.
I know it.
Kids show up, 2 or 3 weeks before the first game and work out. These guys are 12 months a year in that weight room, and they go home a few times a year, but they live on campus.
Probably the best rule ever made by the NCAA is to allow all the student athletes to actually come in for what they call the second summer semester, and they can go ahead and enroll in school then.
Change was when they allowed them to provide scholarships. A lot of kids had to work. Remember, I mean,
that's right.
Recruited so many during the years that even the Pell Grant didn't help them much. They come from such really mediocre financial backgrounds. No disparity to them. They couldn't help that, but they found that the universities found, and NCAA found, if you could scholarship them, they could stay there, get full meals, and get to work out and all that stuff. And I think that enhanced the quality of play on the field now.
We're going to go to a short break. We'll bring you right back in here in just a moment. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tori Dunn from Dixie Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure do.
Millie Johnson. I know you're not bringing them cow trucks over here.
I do, and they're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
Getting my car detailed.
At Trojan Detail, we do it all.
I love my job. We get to help people who are having the worst day of their life.
You just got to be ready for whatever hits.
She wasn't breathing. She was almost dead.
Stay still there. Stay still. It's fine.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
Okay, back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. And how's the weather over there? Have you had a lot of rain? Have I still got you? Oh boy, here we go. Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. And of course, Max, has it rained heavy over there this week?
No, we had just a shower or two. That's it. Sun's bright as it can be, not a cloud sky this morning.
Well, and of course, you know, it rained real hard here yesterday. During the noonday hour, I bet we got 2 or 3 inches of rain at least. But the farmers needed it, didn't they?
Well, it comes in spurts, Mike. You know, we had a heavy spring. I mean, we were 12, 14 inches over for the month of April and May. And now it's been like 2 to 3 weeks. We got some showers yesterday, but just light. Like I say, it is clear today. It was projected to rain every day this week up here. But it is, I think, by showers only, not in heavy rains.
Yeah, I know it. All right,
the Mississippi River still got the Delta flooded. They can't even get the tractors there to plant the crops for the spring.
Yeah.
There's a half a dozen big farmers over there who will have to rely on subsidies from the government just to stay alive.
Yeah, no question about it. And, of course, you know, the rain just cures a lot of ills, no question about it.
I think for what I'm doing right now, I've already met with some of the farmers because of the growing crop, the growing time in the hemp season. They can grow a crop in 90 days over there. So if it can get dry, you know, even by July, they still got time before any frost, you know, shows up to put the crop in the field.
Exactly right. And of course, that's getting to be a pretty big business. Is that right? It's hemp?
It's huge. Yeah, Mike, it's going great over here. I'm meeting with the agriculture commissioner next week to be sure that the laws and the regulations are the same as Alabama and Georgia. I've got copies right here on my desk now. I've got a partner that's pretty politically tight in this state, and we're going to go down to the agriculture commissioner and say, hey, here's what they're doing in other states. This is what we're going to recommend.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I'm going to be on the front end of this thing in Mississippi.
And you know, of course, we'll let you know more about it. And do you want to give out any phone numbers, anything like that?
Not yet. I'm saying by the 1st of August, we'll be ready to rock and roll.
All right, here we go. Going to try it one last time. Well, I don't know. He's not even on the line right now. Mike Amos was calling in. We're looking at this Miami-Florida game, Max, and if Florida could where will this game be played, though? That's what's important.
I think it's in Orlando, maybe. I don't think it's on either campus. I think it's a neutral site game.
Yeah, I would think it would be.
Yeah, but most of those, you know, of course, you know, in all fairness to Mark Rick, the program just didn't. It got to a certain level, and he just couldn't get it any further. And I think a lot of the ex-athletes, you know, went to the administration and said, hey, let's see. Of course, Manny Diaz, you remember his dad was a mayor of Miami. So,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He had big time political.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons he got the job. Well, I'm not saying that the reason he got the job, but that certainly didn't hurt.
Yeah. The game will be played in Orlando.
Okay. I was thinking that was where it is.
So that's the highlight. That is the real highlight. That's the first game of the season.
Right. And no competition. Nobody else plays till the next weekend.
That's right. And, of course, it's going and, of course, you know, everybody remembers some of these great rival games. Boy, at one time, you had Miami, you had Florida, and you had Florida State. Those were the 3 best programs in America at one time, weren't they?
Yeah, we had a hard time with Miami. You know, and of course, the greatest one, I think, was in '88. I was on the staff there at Florida State. We were #1 in the nation. We go flying down there the first ball game. And, we were like a 10-point favorite that game. They beat our eyes out, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Tommy Tuberville was the defensive coordinator. Jimmy Johnson was the head coach. I mean, they had a great staff. And they had great players.
Yeah.
I mean, Dwight Johnson now, Brock, as Luke Starr, played defensive tackle for them. I mean, they had a really, really good football team. And they beat us back and regrouped and won the rest of them that year and ended up number 3 in the country. I think Notre Dame won it. Mine was second. We were third that year. We beat Auburn in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
And, that was, but that was a history of that relationship there between Florida State and Miami. That was the toughest, one of the big rivalries going on in college football.
If Florida State would have had a good field goal kicker, how many national champions? How many more national championships would Bobby Bowden have won?
At least 3, Mike. And here's a bad thing. I recruited those 2 kids at Michigan.
Did you really?
Wide right, left. Oh,
that's right. Yeah.
Best kickers in America. They both made the front page of Sports Illustrated. One was from Colorado, one was from New Jersey.
Yeah.
But we get them down there in front of a crowd. I mean, they would show, period. That was all it was a show deal. And, of course, Coach Bowden and I laugh all the time about it because he coached the kickers. I just got him there.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the coach of them. But
now he won. I want to say he won 2 outright himself, and he would have won probably 5, wouldn't he?
He should have won 5. That's exactly right. And I think, Mike, and I appreciate you mentioning that too, because I think a lot of people now remember that's 25, 30 years ago. Now people don't realize that we were playing at the level Alabama is now. We recruited. Coach Bowden went 14 years in the top 5, and I don't know that anybody else will ever do that.
Yeah, that was amazing, and let me tell you something else. And people talk about this. I ask people all the time. I said, why don't you put some wrinkles in? Why don't you put some misdirection in? I think misdirection. Boy, you take a high school linebacker. He doesn't know how to do anything about triple reverses and stuff like that. But Bobby Bowden, almost every game would have some kind of wrinkle, some kind of trick play. And that's what I tell people. I said, look at Bobby Bowden. Don't you think he's one of the best coaches in America? They say yes. Well, I say, well, he invented the trick play.
But I tell you what he did. We had a practice session every day for about 10 minutes just on that kind of stuff. He had a file cabinet, and he'd go through the tape and find, for example, he'd watch the linebackers on defense. And if he caught him looking in the backfield, he'd put false keys. He'd pull the guards one way and run a reverse the other way to get the linebackers out of there. I mean, he was a genius at picking up little things like that to make those trick plays.
All right, now, of course, one of them is the famous fumble Ruski where, all right, now tell us exactly how that works.
I was fortunate enough to be there when we put that. We did that in the preseason, Mike. The last scrimmage before the first ball game, before we flew to Miami that year, Coach Bowden let Mickey Andrews and Mickey and Mark Rick, Mickey had the defense and Mark had the offense, and he sprinkled a couple of guys. Then the rest of the coaching staff, they took the ones. They took the first offense, first defense, and they put all the rest of the kids on the other side and gave it to the rest of the coaches. Well, the first ones were so much, they were running up down the field all night long. So about the hour and a half into the game, I think it was like 40-something to 6 or whatever, it was a regular ball game. We all got together on the sideline, and we drew that play up in the sand, literally. And we scored on the first defense with it. Coach Bowden called us all in when it was over, and he said, y'all write that up and put it in the file. Well, long story short,
This is on game day?
No, this is
okay.
preseason.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, okay.
All right, he put it in the file. So each one of the coaches had like 3 ball games we had to scout. All right, my first ball game that year was Notre Dame and Michigan State. We didn't play Notre Dame. We played Michigan State though, like the 3rd week. Well, while I was going to Michigan to scout Michigan State, Notre Dame, Florida State was playing Clemson that day. Clemson was number 1 in the country, and I think we had dropped to 5 or 6.
Danny Ford was the coach. Is that right?
That's right. We go up there. Florida State goes up there, and the Burt Reynolds had bought all new uniforms for the team, and I mean it was a big to do. But we thought we were a better football team. So the game was close. Down there with 2 minutes to go, this is funny, Mike. I've already scouted, got all my reports done for Michigan State. I'm in a little car going back to Detroit to catch a flight back home, and the game starts. So I pull in. I pulled in behind the service station, turned the radio on, so I'm going to listen to the ball game. My flight wasn't till that night anyway. So I'm just going back for him. The score was 21-20 with 2 minutes to go, and we were on about our 30-yard line. Well, we run a couple of inside, just handoffs conservative. We get down to about the 40, I think, and it's fourth down. We go to punt formation. I had no idea. And I don't remember who was calling the ball game I was listening to. But anyway, they called it the formation all, and all of a sudden, he breaks out as Leroy Butler picks the ball off the ground. We snap it to the short guy. He lays it on the ground behind the guard, and then the wingback comes around and picks it up, and it goes down the field. Well, we were about 60 yards out. Well, Leroy picks it up and starts down the sideline. He's wide open.
Is he hiding the ball in any way?
He after you break the line of scrimmage, he just outran everybody.
Yeah.
So he gets down to the 5-yard line, Mike, and falls down.
Oh, no.
And it's like 5 seconds to go in the ball game. Call timeout, go out there and kick a field goal. We win 23-21.
Oh, man.
That came, Coach Bowden that was a thinking. He goes to his file every Monday and pulls out a play after he's looked at the tape on Sunday night of our next opponent, and he would take some play that he liked in that file.
Now, he had to report this, though, to the officials before the game, though, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah, you have to tell them ahead of time.
And he probably had 2 or 3 of them to tell them, didn't he?
Well, sometimes, but normally we just had 1 or 2.
Did he report this to the officials before the game?
Oh, yeah. He'd tell them ahead of the ball game, but he didn't tell them when he's going to call it.
Yeah, I know it, yeah.
Just tell them that, hey, be aware that we may run this in a critical. He would say this. I'm sitting there listening to him talk to the official before the ball game. He said, we may run this play in a critical situation. Well, when you're down and you're trying to get back to number 1, and there's 2 minutes to go, and you're on the road, that's critical. That's what we did. And of course, the punt Ruski that made national headlines for a couple of years, to tell you the truth. But you know what? Nobody else, I hadn't seen it run in 10 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
Georgia tried it out there last year, trying to do a fake punt, if you remember. And of course, Alabama just ate them alive. They knew exactly what was going to happen when Justin Fields dropped out there. They were going to try to throw out a punt formation.
Les Miles tries to do a lot of that too, and of course, he's been pretty successful, hasn't he?
Yeah, and again, I think it's all about timing. When you call the play, look, there's not a whole lot of new stuff, Mike, in football.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter where, and I remember Coach Bowden was kind of lenient with the coaches that would come and go off his staff about taking the playbook with him. He says, look, everybody's got the same play. They just don't know what we're going to call them.
Hey, the truest statement that you could make is the team with the most points wins the game.
There's no doubt about that. Another step. It's usually the team with the most talent.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break, Max. We'll be right back to you in just a moment. We'll be back in just...
Are you a driver trainee just finished in school and want to drive an automatic truck? Then call Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Right, Fuzzy? We have automatic trucks. That's right. And we will reimburse you for your driver training. No pets? Not at Wiley Sanders Truck Line. At Wiley Sanders Truck Line, we thought of everything. We thought of the kennel for your fuzzy friend. Right, Fuzzy? Tell them about it. Wiley Sanders Truck Line, Troy, Alabama. Come drive for the best today. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Tell them, Fuzzy.
This is Bobby Flay.
I'm coming for you, Bobby.
They say he's never had to eat his words. But if he did, they'd be delicious. They say the word flavor was named after him. They say he can make an omelet without breaking an egg.
We were hoping for that.
They say you can beat Bobby Flay. What do they know? Beat Bobby Flay, Thursday night at 10 on Food Network.
Hey folks, are you tired of spending hard-earned money on a gas grill only to have it burn up in less than 2 years? Not to mention burning your food. Here at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, we carry the Holland Grill line. They've been around since 1988, and there are people right here in Troy that have had theirs for over 20 years. These grills are guaranteed not to flare up.
You can grill, steam, or smoke on your new Holland Grill today.
Come see us at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, inside Town and Country Flooring Center.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video, and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Maybe more than that. What do you think?
You know, again, he'd have it in the playbook, but it was all about when the timing to use it and what how the defense reacted to it.
Yeah.
Because really, the next couple of years after that, every time we go to punt formation, they would.
And you could hear them. You could hear them hollering across the way too, could you? Watch out for the Fumblerooski. Watch out for the Fumblerooski.
All they called was a reverse.
Yeah.
And because see, they didn't know what ball the punter would think like his ball had snapped over his head. He'd jump if you were looking at the backfield.
Yeah, exactly right. Will Matthews has joined us from Ozark this morning. Good morning, Will.
Hey, good morning.
And Will, we're talking about trick plays, and we're of course.
I got to tell you one that was the dumbest one I ever saw. And I've become friends with Tommy Tuberville. He's running for Senate next year in Alabama.
Yeah.
He ran a fake punt against Florida from their own 5-yard line and didn't get it.
That was the craziest thing, wasn't it?
That's a guts call there, buddy.
I mean, was it going in or going out? He had 95 yards to go and they run a trick play?
Yeah, they ran a fake punt. It was like 4th and 15 from their own 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And they faked the punt, and, of course, the guy didn't make it.
Yeah.
But you know what? They beat Florida in the game anyway.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. The one that I used to like was Les Miles' field goal, fake field goal, where the holder just he gets it and he doesn't even look now. He just flips it over his head and hopes that the guy's there. I saw it work a few times, but then I saw it not work a few times. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the same thing, Mike. I've seen it work. That takes a lot of time. And,
Well, on kickoffs, you've seen triple reverses. Clemson had a fake kickoff where everybody would run to the middle of the field, and then they would have a guy on the sideline just standing over there right off the sideline, and the guy would throw it back to him, and then it'd be a foot race for the touchdown. Have you ever you remember that?
Oh yeah, but now I think the rule says they cut that thing. You can't stand that close to the sideline.
You have to go release to the hash mark or something like that.
You got right. And I forgot what the rule is. The distance 5 or 8 feet or 10 feet or whatever.
Exactly right.
It kind of takes away that ability to surprise somebody.
Yeah. Okay, the start of college football, ladies and gentlemen, is August the 24th with Miami and Florida going at it in Orlando. So that's going to be a great way to start the college football season.
Well, look, I'm excited for it. I'm glad he did. I think Dan Mullen, designed that to get guys in that group on national TV to start with. And I think he thinks he can win that ball game pretty handily, and he wants to make a statement with his program.
Yeah, no question about it. I was looking at the SEC, Will, and you can join in with us on it. Of course, Alabama. Everybody says Alabama's going to win it and play for the national championship. At least most prognosticators is. But I'm looking for some teams that are going to be better. I got a feeling Arkansas is going to be better. I got a feeling Kentucky is going to be much better.
I've heard you say that before. Help me get some.
Oh, okay. And then I said LSU and maybe Tennessee and Texas A&M are going to be better.
I don't don't think there's any way Clemson can win 10 games again. I just
They won't be. You're right, Will.
Who is that now?
There's no way they'll have the year they had last year. There's no way.
No, they're about an 8-win team for this next year.
Who are you talking about?
Kentucky.
Oh, I know it, but if they won 8 games, that's pretty good, though, isn't it?
Well, they won 10 last year.
I know, that is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, they
You're
were
right.
an amazing year. I tell you who I think is going to be good this year is Texas A&M. I think they're going to be. But their schedule is horrible. But I think they're going to be a pretty good team.
Yeah.
They got a tough schedule, though, Will.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is.
Alabama and Clemson right off the bat.
Well, let's look at it a minute. And of course, you know, they've got they play Auburn at home. They go Tennessee at home. We're looking at Florida. They play Tennessee, Kentucky at Kentucky. Of course, we've already mentioned the Miami. Then Florida has to play Tennessee at home and Auburn at home. That's going to help them a lot.
Florida's going to get to it. Texas A&M is where you need to be looking at the schedule. Because they got Alabama and Clemson in the first 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, and of course, you know, in the SEC, all of them going to be tough. But I was looking at now Georgia plays Notre Dame on the 21st, but we're looking just. But with Stoops, we're looking, you know, at Kentucky being. Y'all don't think they'll be as good as they were.
No way.
It's
They
going
were
to be
10-3 last year.
duplicate that. Yeah.
It is. I don't know. Well, I don't know where you had a chance to watch the spring. I think it's they lose Benny Snell, but they got a couple of running backs they're going to implement. The Wilson kid's going to be a much better quarterback. He's paying to throw the ball a little bit better. But where they fell off is on the defensive side. They lost 3 or 4 kids that were really good players on that side, and I didn't see anybody that could replace them right now.
Yeah. Let me tell you something big about Kentucky. They don't play Alabama or Auburn. Can you believe that? They don't play either one of them. And so that means the toughest team on their schedule is playing at Georgia. You know what? I'm going to tell you something else that will stun you. I'm going to stun you here. They don't play LSU. They don't play LSU, they don't play Alabama, and they don't play Auburn. That is unreal.
Mike, that's in the West, they in the East. They
I
don't
know.
play but 1 or 2 crossovers anyway.
I know it, but again, though, on one schedule and not have to play those 3 very good programs,
They got Georgia and Florida.
They got Georgia and Florida. Yeah, you're right. And
They got Texas A&M too. That's going to be a tough game.
That's right, in A&M.
Well, wait a minute. They don't play Texas A&M. They don't play Texas A&M either. Y'all, this is crazy.
They've got to play 2 teams from the West.
They got to play 2 from the West.
This is Kentucky. They do not play Texas A&M. Can you believe it?
Go through the schedule, Mike. Tell me who the 2 teams are.
All right, they open up with Toledo, then the Eastern Michigan. Those are 2 wins. Then they got the big game against Florida at home. Then they play at Mississippi State. Then they play at South Carolina. Then they play home to Arkansas. Then they play at Georgia. That's the biggest game on their schedule, at Georgia. Then they play home against Missouri, home against Tennessee, at Vanderbilt, and then they play Tennessee Martin and Louisville. This is an unreal schedule that those 4, Texas A&M, Auburn, Alabama, and LSU, they don't play either one of those teams.
Well, that doesn't matter in the East. They got Mississippi State and Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's 2. Mississippi State's going to win about 8. Arkansas might win 5, maybe. So it's. But they won't beat Florida, and they won't beat Georgia, and they're gonna lose another 1 or 2 along the way just because of the injury or whatever. They don't have the depth that the other teams. If they played the teams in the East and the West, they wouldn't win 5.
Yeah. But I tell you, it's amazing though that schedule does not have none of the what we think are the top 4 teams in the conference. You don't have Florida in this group, but Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, and LSU. That's unreal that they don't have to play them.
Max, let me ask you a stupid question. Why is Missouri in the Eastern Division?
Well, that was a political move for whatever reason, you know.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It is. I agree with that 100%. And because of that, you know, they have so little connection with most of the schools in this league. Well, in all fairness, I still do Lake County radio shows a week. I never get asked about Missouri. You know, and if Kelly Bryant wasn't the quarterback up there this year, it'd be another same thing he's always been. You know,
but they won 5 out of their last 7 games last year. 5 out of their last 7.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they had their top quarterback in the country, and now they got Kelly Bryant transferred from Clemson up there, so, you know, they think that offensively they're going to be pretty good. I don't know whether it'd be as good as it were last year. Defense is always a question mark for them. So, I wish I could answer that question. I wish they'd go to the West, and I hate to say this, but maybe move Auburn to the East.
Auburn should be in the East.
I agree.
And as we...
They line up with Georgia. I mean, they could still play Alabama every year.
That's true.
And pick up one more West team. And Auburn, I tell you what, Auburn would be a lot better off
in
the
East than the West.
Now hear this. Missouri does not play Alabama, does not play Auburn, does not play LSU, and does not play Texas A&M.
Mike, Missouri's in the East.
I know that, but what I'm saying, I'm just looking at the total schedule. I was looking at the total schedule.
You don't have but 2 teams in the crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now, that's not even argument.
Yeah, I know. I was just looking at their season. I wasn't looking at the conference championship. I was just looking at games that they could win and games they could lose. Wouldn't you love to have a schedule that didn't have to play those 4 teams?
Well, you know, if you line up in the SEC West, then you got to play them every year. That's that's where I think that's one of the reasons Arkansas rumors keep popping up about them going back to the Big 12. Because Arkansas right there, guys, bless their heart. I got to know Chad Morris pretty well, and you know he's been at Clemson, he's been at SMU, and all those places, but he can't get enough play. You don't realize how hard it is to recruit the University of Arkansas. Let's just put it this way: diversity is not in their game plan. That's all I can tell you.
Out of these teams, out of these 4 teams or 5 teams, which one has a chance to break out? Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. Do you expect any one of those teams to do very well?
I think Tennessee is the only possibility.
Right.
The other 4,
very true.
The other 4 are crap.
And let me tell you this, and something we don't talk about enough, Max, because at one time this guy was a dynamic football coach, and that was our AD at Tennessee.
Well, you know, he was. He had a.
He owned Alabama for a long time.
Well, they had their program rolling at a very, very high pace, and of course the recruiting fell off. You got to understand, you can't recruit the state of Tennessee and win championships, and not the high school players that are that caliber. So they had to use a national recruiting base, and I think that's what Jeremy Pruitt knows. And I think Phil Fulmer was helping him do that.
But now, I'm sure there are several programs like this, but don't you think that he's gonna pretty much dominate what Pruitt does?
No, I don't. I think he's kind of mellow in his he's a year-to-year guy right now.
You don't think he's gonna try to sort of take over the program?
Well, you probably. But I'm gonna tell you that the internal workings of the University of Tennessee has been chaos for the last 10 years. They've been through 3 chancellors, college presidents. Their bottom line has been in the red for the last 4 or 5 years. They had it when Pat Summit was there. They were trying to run 2 completely different departments, and they didn't have the finances to do it. And the organization material for inside the university hindered their football program. I can tell you that now.
You know,
I'll tell you one time though, back in the heyday of Philip Fulmer, they were a top 10 program in the country, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, I knew Philip when he was at Vanderbilt as an assistant coach, and guess who else was on that staff? Bill Parcells.
Oh yeah.
They had some really good coaches at Vandy as assistant coaches.
Oh yeah. Of course, Mac's brother was on that staff. North Carolina coach Mac
Brown.
Mac Brown's brother Watson Brown was on that staff, wasn't he?
Watson, yeah.
Watson was, and then Watson came back to Vandy, and he was probably had the worst record of any football coach ever. I don't think he won 2 games a year.
So you don't look for Mississippi State, Ole Miss, but Tennessee, Vanderbilt.
Because of the sanctions on them, they're going to be bad.
Well, in all fairness, and I follow them pretty close. I live just outside Tupelo. I'm in and out of Oxford quite often. And the fact is I was really, really discouraged in their recruiting. NCAA allowed them to sign 31 kids this year to bring them back to 85. And the weakest part on the football field was their defense, and the weakest position there was linebackers. Out of the 31 players they signed, 2 linebackers.
Yeah, I know it.
Explain that to me. I can't understand that.
Yeah.
And I ran that recruiting office for 3 years over there. So I'm just saying there has to be or was some internal influence put on Matt Luke.
Yeah.
How did Matt Luke get that job?
Well, it was in such turmoil over there.
Yeah, nobody wanted it, I guess.
Nobody.
But he's a favorite now. He was a favorite among the fans, though, wasn't he?
Well, he's a good guy. He came through the program. He's been loyal to it. He was rewarded for that. And he's going to have to win 7 or 8 this year, which he can't do. And I can tell you this, the 2 coordinators he hired this year, he had not one thing to do with. They were hired by the ex-athletic director. I know that's a fact. I know that.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing the way things look. If you look at this conference, South Carolina's not going to be very good. Ole Miss is not going to be very good. Mississippi State, we don't think will be very good. Vanderbilt, same old. And then, what is our other team? We got one more. Is it Missouri that's not going to be very good? But out of those 5, I think Missouri is going to be better than the other 4. What do you think?
I think that quarterback at Missouri is going to make them a contender. I mean, in the East.
And
they'll win some games.
And Tennessee will be a question mark. But out of all those, I would think Tennessee and Missouri has a chance to be very good. I think South Carolina, with the coach's son, is not. He didn't have a good year. And Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt, I don't expect anything good for them at all.
Mississippi State, I can tell you now, is going to win 8.
You think they will?
Yeah. Oh, I've been.
All right. So you think they're going to be better then? Or
No, they won. Last year they should have won 10. They lost to Kentucky. They lost to Florida. Should never lost either one of those, but they did. Then they lose to Iowa in the bowl game.
They should have won that game. They should have.
And they lost. And they had 3 first-round draft picks off the defensive front in the secondary.
Yeah.
So they got to replace those guys. But the offense will be better than it was. They got the starting quarterback from Penn State. Stevens kid transferred in.
So you think Mississippi State's going to be a lot better than people think?
No, you can't say they're going to be better, Mike. The one-loss record will be better. I think I don't say it'll be better. They'll be the same. They'll be 8 wins at best.
Yeah,
you know what, Max will agree with me. Do you know why Mississippi State will not be better?
Why?
They've got to play Alabama, LSU.
Oh, yes, they can win.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
Very true, Will.
And if you're in the West, you've got 3 legitimate top 5 teams in the country, probably.
Yep.
I mean, that you're going to deal with.
I go back and look, and I kind of evaluate that full about what Dan Bully was able to do there. He stayed 9 years. He went to 8 bowl games in that time. The greatest thing that ever happened to Dan was Scott Strickland getting the AD job at Florida. I promise you that.
Yeah, that's right.
That job was cut and dried from the day that announced the coaching change, and nobody down there wanted.
That was his get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Was
absolutely
when that happened.
Absolutely. They doubled his salary. I think he was making a little over 3.2 or whatever. He goes there for 6, and Scott Churchill will take care of him. I can tell you, but he's got to produce now.
Max, in 2016, I got elected to be a delegate to the Republican convention in Cleveland for Donald Trump. Okay. Coach Mullen's wife was elected from Mississippi to be a delegate. And so anyway, I met her in Cleveland. So we were eating lunch one day, and I was talking to her.
Boy.
And she's saying, "Oh, we're so happy in Starkville. We love Starkville." And so, and I said, "Let me tell you something. My daddy told me if God was going to give the world an enema, he'd stick it in Starkville, Mississippi."
Oh, God.
And she laughed, and I said, "Let me tell you something. You know, when somebody offers him about $7-8 million a year, you're going to say sayonara." And it wasn't, I mean, you know, it wasn't that much longer that he was offered the job, and boom, they're gone.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you know what took him so long to announce that? And I know this, I've been friends with Scott Strickland since he was at Auburn as assistant AD. It took him a month to negotiate his contract. That's what the whole deal was about. And Dan's a good businessman. I'm going to tell you, and a good football coach. Now, I don't like his personality. I mean, I wouldn't work for him for anything. I wouldn't last a week. But the fact is he's a good sideline coach. And I rest my case by telling you that last year, Felipe Franks probably should have been sitting on the bench by the third game. He ended up being one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, and he's going to be a great one this next year.
All right. I'm looking at this. Arkansas is not going to be very good. Vanderbilt, they're going to be decent at all, or they're not going to be very good.
No good.
Ole Miss, I don't think it's going to be very good. What do you think there, Max?
I think they, their schedule and their talent level, they were able to keep their starting running back and get out of Jackson and still go pro baseball and decided to come to Ole Miss. Will help their offense some. Their offensive line will be no backups. They got a starting 4 or 5 out of there. It's going to be decent.
They're not going to be able to stop anybody, though. Is that what you think?
The defense is going to be awful. And the fact is, Mike, Matt's going to have to win 6 to keep his job. He's got to go to a bowl to keep the job.
South Carolina's not going to be very good, so that's 4. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, South Carolina.
Mike, their talent level is going to be pretty good, but look at the schedule.
Oh, really?
It's awesome. I mean, it's almost obscene.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Auburn's, but it's close, I can tell you.
Yeah, no question about it. But question marks on Missouri, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. I'm going to go ahead and circle Tennessee as not being very good. What do you think?
Tennessee's going to win 7. I think they
You do? You think they'll be better? They'll be better, won't they?
That's exactly right.
And you sort of like Mississippi State in a way, don't you?
Well, I just watch them. I'm close. I'm
yeah, I know it.
40 minutes from Starkville, and I go down, occasionally. They let me in to watch practice, but, Moorhead did not adjust to the talent level in the SEC. Now, when he makes that adjustment in the second year, I don't know, but a lot of fan base is not happy with Joe Moorhead right now. He made some calls that just didn't fit his talent on the field. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I think they deliberately went after that kid at Penn State because Joe had already coached him 2 years up there. So the kid
he knows the kid can play.
Absolutely right. He knows him, and the kid knows the offense. Where Mississippi State failed down and going to fall again is wide receiver. They will be decent at running back. The offensive front will be fair, but they can get 6 or 7 wins, I think, and maybe 8 if they're fortunate.
Yeah.
They got one big problem, Max. They got to play Auburn. They got to play Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M, and LSU. That's a big problem.
Well, they play Auburn off their feet every year. It doesn't matter if they play in Auburn or in Starkville. That's the team that they really give a hard time. You're right. The other 3, they won't touch them.
All right, Missouri.
Ole Miss. I'll say this for Ole Miss: they get to play Vandy every year. That's their annual.
That's right.
That's their crossover game every year.
Yep.
They get.
So.
And the quote.
Michigan State's got their crossover.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
You know, so that that should balance out. Of course, students have done a good job in bringing talent level there, but again, those schools have a hard time, guys, getting enough depth.
Yeah.
And in the SEC, those games, those tight games, are won in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough depth to survive, or the end of the season, if you get 2 or 3 injuries, you're gonna suffer from it.
Okay.
And that's just a matter of the lifestyle of the universities that have to play in that league.
Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. Will Matthews calling in from Ozark. Max Howell, of course, very well-known football prognosticator. Your buddy Phil Steele has got his magazine coming out this week. We've already got a big edition from Athlon. And Athlon says Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, Notre Dame, and Texas A&M. Bunch of SEC schools, but don't they sort of beat up on each other?
Yeah, and I think it's one thing that one of my best friends ran the defensive side of the ball for Georgia during the spring. And I'm going to tell you what he said. He said if their number one quarterback goes down, they better go to single wing. They ain't got a kid to take snaps since Justin Fields left. Yeah. So and nobody predicts on that. They don't talk about the injury.
When he left, it's like a blue chipper left. I mean, it's like a franchise player left.
It was a franchise player. You're absolutely right. Well, he's going to start at Ohio State.
Yeah, I know.
So
Max, let me ask you a question. How can a guy leave Georgia and go to Ohio State that's like a freshman and get to play immediately? What's the deal with that?
Well, he used the race thing, Will. I mean, that was a political ploy on his attorney's deal to use the race thing. He was, he claimed he got cheered at during baseball games, and he was, got called all kind of inflammatory remarks about his lifestyle and all that. So the NCAA bought. They didn't want to have to fight that battle. Look, you're an attorney, you know that. They don't have to fight those kind of battles. So he won.
Well, now he'll be starting for Ohio State.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever happened to him. I mean, he's considered a superstar before he even hits the field, if you'll think about it.
Well, it's going to be. I'm going to be interested to watch because Urban's not going to have his finger right on the program. I mean, he'll be involved to some degree, but not the day. I don't know the guy that took the job. I think he was the offensive coordinator that took that. And they projected to be, because of the recruiting, they predicted to be, a top 5, a top 10.
Oh yeah.
Max, how long do you think it'll be before Urban Meyer's back on the field coaching somewhere?
Just as soon as Southern Cal opens up.
I figure he's gonna. There'll be a big job open up. It might be Notre Dame.
It might be Notre Dame. I agree. It might be.
If Notre Dame opened up, he's gone.
Yeah. Well, that
guy has a.
Yeah, I don't know. Urban's a good football mind, but he's got some other problems too, Will. You know that. I mean, it's something that's not right about all the things that have happened to him. And he let the Florida program go before he left down there. But, I don't know. It's just something about from all field problems that they have. It's, and I think he's a good X and O guy. I really do. But I don't know about the rest of his.
Will order me a couple of egg sandwiches and a large coffee. And I want some strawberry gel, too, if you don't mind.
You won't believe where I'm at.
Well, you had some kind of place. Either you had a convenient, you had McDonald's, I reckon. Where are you?
I'm in Troy, Alabama.
And you had McDonald's?
No, I'm at the municipal court.
Okay.
I'm gonna be the judge of Troy this morning.
Well, you should have come by and been on our show this morning.
I drove past there about 5 minutes after 8.
Yeah, I got you.
I better get on over here.
Yeah, but back to all of this, looking at the Athlon's top 10, it's going to all go back down to Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, or Alabama, Georgia in the conference game. Michigan, and Ohio State will determine who one of the 4 teams will be, don't you think?
Yeah, I think right now there's a lot of things you gotta look at the schedule. You gotta think toward the end of the season about injuries and the things you can't coach. You gotta coach around. And you better look at that roster to see what kind of depth they got.
Yeah.
That's the thing that really, I think a lot of people that write those articles, they play on emotion for a lot of fans to sell magazines. And, I'm not saying that those guys don't do their homework, but they take advantage of the populace out there buying the books, and they want to see. And again, nobody ever writes about the mistakes Kirby Smart makes on the sideline. Nobody. Yeah. And I'm telling you, he's lost two championship opportunities because of mistakes that he made on the sideline.
More than
he's given Alabama 2 games.
Absolutely. And here's the thing that just upsets me so bad is the guy that made the bad defensive move against the championship game when Tua threw it in the end zone. He coaches that position.
Yeah.
I could not. I came up out of my chair in my den that day when that kid. I was watching the secondary. When J.R. Reed took that step toward the wide receiver, I knew it was over.
Yeah.
I knew it was over. But nobody ever writes about that. Nobody ever talks about that.
I'll tell you right now, I think I'm all right, and I want y'all to do the same thing. I think the most overrated team in America this year will be Georgia. I don't believe Georgia is going to be as good.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, they're going to be 12-0, and you'll see them in the SEC championship game.
Again, I think that there's two different things that you have to evaluate. How good is the team or what their record is?
Yeah.
I will tell you.
Their record's going to be 12-0.
I think the only hope that anybody will have that's not a big Georgia fan is Florida.
Florida's the only team I think can beat them.
Well, one thing they're going to lose in the conference championship game. I think that anybody on the East will beat them.
Well, that might be true, yeah.
Or the West, anybody on the West, I mean.
Well,
they'll be an underdog.
Yeah, I'll be waiting. I just wonder how long the fan base, though, they're going to ride that wave of 10-2, 11-1. Look, Mark Richt averaged 2 wins a year for 15 years, and that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, no question.
And I just wonder sometimes, I keep hearing little rumbles out there about is Kirby Smart going to be the same quality that they had with Mark Richt.
Of course, they play Notre Dame
they play
in Athens. They play at South Carolina in Athens, Kentucky in Athens, Florida. That's going to be a big game, real big game right there.
Campus to campus, Mike.
Then they play at Auburn. That's going to be a real big game. They play home against A&M, and that's going to be a big game. That'd be the 3 big ones. Of course, Notre Dame will be a big one, no question about it. And so it'll be Notre Dame, Florida, Auburn, or A&M. One or two of those teams going to beat Georgia, Will?
I don't think so.
All right, okay.
Florida will be the only one, and I'll guarantee you, Georgia will be favored in every game this year. They'll be favored in all 12 games, just like Alabama will be favored in all 12 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that will depend on if they beat Notre Dame. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, they'll be favored. I mean, they might not win, but they'll be
right. Yeah, I know going in, and that's going to be interesting to watch. Because I put a lot of stock in those guys that draw those lines out there in Vegas. They do that for a living.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
They know.
They do. They really do.
Well,
what's going on?
Of course, there'll be some surprises that we don't foresee, but I'm thinking Missouri might be better than people think. I'm not saying they'll be a contender, but they might go 8-4 or something like
reasonable.
that.
I think 8-4 is a reasonable record.
That was their record. Last year was 8-5, and they lost to Oklahoma State 38-33 in the Liberty Bowl.
They should have won that game, really. They should have won that bowl game.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the most important thing everybody wants to know, Max, is what's for dinner. What's for dinner?
Man, let me tell you, I had a bunch of, I think I had 6 couples down the river last Sunday night. Man, you talk about, I did boiled shrimp with potatoes and corn. I put some wings on the grill. out beside that, and then we have an outside kitchen there. So I cooked a sausage stew that was heavy. I mean, it had a heavy base. I put it over rice. We had all that, a couple of salads, and we always do baked beans and garlic bread and all that stuff.
Boy, oh boy, you're making me hungry.
Dessert, though, I spent Sunday afternoon, I made 2 key lime pies. And I'm telling you, I mean, if you eat all that, you better take a nap. I can tell you.
No question about it. And, of course, it sounds good. How about mushrooms? Did you throw them in there? Any big mushrooms?
Oh, yeah. Well, always throw mushrooms in my stew.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
But I tell you what, it sounds good. I like a low country boil, but I like good sausage. I like bratwurst and that type of sausage.
Well, I got a guy that does my sausage just outside Prattville up there in Booth, Alabama.
Yeah.
The Raymond's family sausage been in business almost 100 years now, and they don't sell in the grocery store.
I was wondering, yeah.
And listen to this, they don't even take credit cards.
Oh boy.
They don't.
I'd like to know where that is, though. It is a business in Prattville.
Just outside, yeah. They've been in business for about 100 years.
Yeah, about like Jim's Barbecue. Yeah, no question about it. Will, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you later. And, of course, Max, as always, my friend, we appreciate you very much and look forward to seeing you. Look, I might need you to come in next Thursday. I'll talk to you about it.
All right, give me a call. I'd love to.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
And we appreciate all of our guests today and appreciate you even more. I hope you enjoyed listening and are watching our show today. And ladies and gentlemen, just pick a team and you got a chance in the SEC. It's going to be a tough league again this year. And again, it's going to be going to go down to some of the bigger games of the year. Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, then, of course, LSU, Alabama. There's going to be some huge games. And then this game right off the bat with Miami and Florida could make a big difference in the way their season pans out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know everybody's getting excited. 72 more days till college football. We'll see you tomorrow.